Welcome to the Spirits Operator podcast. I'm your host, Mary B. Here we navigate the ethereal currents between the mystical and the mundane. Join us as we embark on a journey to unravel the mysteries of healing, metaphysics, and the extraordinary, guiding you through a realm where spirituality meets everyday life. Get ready to explore the unseen forces that shape our world and discover how to harness their power for personal growth and transformation. Welcome aboard, fellow travelers, as we embark on this captivating adventure together. Thank you for joining us in this series, The Many Waves of Healing. Today, we welcome Brooke Richardson, a former venture capitalist who now serves as an energy practitioner and intuitive guide. Originally from the U.S., she moved to Madrid for her MBA, founded a startup, and became an investment director. After 6 years in Spain, Brooke felt a deep calling to explore energy healing. Certified in emotion code, Vortex Healing, and quantum healing hypnosis technique, she helps individuals live more soul-aligned lives. Hello and welcome, Brooke, to our podcast today. You doing good?
Great to be here.
Thank you for coming. Now, Brooke, as you heard a little bit about her, she's an energy healer, and she's based out of Madrid right now. And
right now.
So right now, I know you've got some wings and you fly around here and there. I love that. So let's get to know you, Brooke. Let's start at the beginning, and I mean the beginning of this life. And let's talk about you as a kid. Yeah, clarification, because we know the beginning is the beginning, right? But let's start with you as a kid, because I want to see where you came from. So tell me about your energy as a little one.
Definitely. When I was little, I was always playing with animals. I was always creating stories. I actually wanted to be a vet when I was much younger. And I would go off in a mystical land called Calabusi Land, and I had my own language, which I'm later realizing that actually the meaning of Calabusi is spirit. And so that's yeah.
Oh my gosh. See, I just talked to cats and I was like, meow, 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 meow. That was my language.
Yeah. And I remember there was one night when I was in my room and I woke up in the middle of the night, looked next to my bed, and I saw a white orb next to the bed. And I wasn't necessarily scared at that time, but I was curious. And so I told my parents, and I think that freaked them out.
Oh, geez.
But I saw the orb there for about 7 days, and then my mom slept in the room with me, and after that I didn't see it again, which was really interesting. But it was almost like I shut down those gifts and kind of became a different version. I moved around as a child a lot. We moved to different schools, and so it was constantly rebuilding friends, rebuilding kind of who I was. And I think I was a bit different and moved schools one time and was made fun of for being a little slower, which I think was actually me being more etheric and more spacey. And I've been on a very big journey of grounding into this reality and being more present, which is a lot of what the energy healing actually does. I think we think the ascension process, the awakening, is about, going to the light and to source and expanding upwards. And I'm finding it's really about being brave enough to be here, to be on this plane, and to not avoid the challenges we have, and to really face them and to live life through those experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, as that little kiddo that kind of quieted things down, would you say that was inspired by the fear that your parents had? Do you think?
I think it was more about the kids at school than my family. I think there might have been some dynamics there. in
Mm-hmm.
terms of having very opinionated parents, which, they were doing their best.
To
And it was
protect
a
you,
lot
and
of,
yeah.
exactly, exactly. And I couldn't hear my voice versus my mother's voice. We're very energetically close, almost like energetic twins. And so that was really confusing for me because I
Ah,
didn't know what was mine. And I think that's probably a big part of coming to Spain and building my life anew, just to be like, okay, what is my voice? Because it was so clouded at that point.
yeah, that makes sense. So you've gone along these lines of, oh, you were in high school, you went to college, and then you went to Spain to get your MBA. And when you went to Spain and you were feeling like you're accomplishing all the things, right? You're like checking the
Hmm.
boxes. So what happens there? Because we obviously know there's been a shift. What happened?
Yes. So during the MBA, I really fell in love with entrepreneurship, and I've always wanted to create my own things. And so I took a try at a startup, worked for a few months, lots of learnings. It didn't work out, but I moved over to the venture capital side, and it was a wonderful experience, but it wasn't fulfilling my soul. And I essentially it was almost like a midlife crisis, but at age 29. So, decade earlier.
Close enough.
And I essentially got the title investment director, which I burnt myself out for. And
Mm.
I gave up my health. I gave up, time with friends. Just I am an overachiever or recovering overachiever. And so I would give and give and give to everyone around me, including work. And I wouldn't have anything left for me at the end of the day. And it just was like, this is not sustainable. One,
It's
this isn't
exhausting.
exciting. And yeah, this is exhausting. Exactly. So it was one of those points where it's like, I need to reconsider things.
Okay. And so now you're like, okay, I feel lost though, right? I mean, wasn't there
Yes.
this, if this isn't working, what now?
Hmm.
So
Yes.
what then triggered you to kind of see within?
So it was definitely the job situation, the feeling unfulfilled, and I began to explore just a bit more understanding. So I went to someone for my Akashic Records reading. I received Reiki. I was looking at coaches. I mean, I have invested in myself a lot.
Yeah.
And I've used a lot of support in my journey, and it's amazing to see the shift now and the self-reliance. And so with that exploration, there were things that resonated. And I remember I was in a program and we were in a deep meditative state, and it came through that I was a healer. And, this brought immense emotions, lots of tears. And
Mm,
this, was maybe 5 years ago. And it took so long to say I was worthy of that, to say I was worthy of using my gifts, my energy healing to support other people, especially with a lot of, as we all have in past lives, being punished for those kind of gifts. And so there were so many fears, so many identities of, I used to think, I can't just be an energy practitioner. Like I need to be CEO of a large company and I'll be so bored, and all of these stories that, I had to deconstruct
yeah.
piece by piece.
So with this deconstruction, out of the different modalities that you explored, there's obviously a few that kind of really stuck out to you because they helped you a lot. I'm sure all of them kind of had their own like hand in it, right?
Yes.
But the ones that stuck out, what did you start with out of the modalities that you currently use?
So I started my journey with hypnosis. I've always been really intrigued with the power of the mind, the subconscious, and that is just come full circle because I've just done the quantum healing hypnosis technique. So I'm really excited about leveraging that tool.
Yeah.
And the Vortex Healing, it was the first time that I went to someone for help and they moved energy and my own wisdom came through. It wasn't
Mm.
someone telling me, like when I was a child, telling me what I thought or what I wanted, or, this is the path. And so that was a huge shift. I had my phone out, I was writing down all my new insights, all my new perspectives,
Yay!
and
That's
feeling
cool.
it in my body because it took me a while to believe in the energy healing and even the doubt, even when I had done so many different trainings, it would still come up. And even when I would work with clients and they would tell me great accolades of how it helped them, it would still be there. And so
Mm.
this trust in the unseen has been a really big journey. And I just want to share that because I think sometimes if you see someone on the other end and it's like, oh, well, they just have that gift and they're attuned and it's always been easy. And it's been a lot of perseverance because it's in my soul and there was such a desire for it.
Yes, I completely resonate with that. People are like, "Oh yeah, how did you become a psychic medium?" I'm like, it wasn't just like, bing, you have it in you, it's there, but you still have to nurture it. You have to
Yeah.
nurture that gift, and you have to remember to find that confidence to deliver what your soul wants to say or what it wants to help with. And that sounds like you've uncovered that. And we continue to do these things, but now we're working from a more healed space, right? As the
Yes.
one that
We have
helps
the tools.
other people. Exactly. We have those tools. And so though we have this, I'm an energy healer, or I'm a psychic medium, or I'm a practitioner, or whatever it is, right? We still go through these human emotions and we still run into things ourselves now. And
Hmm.
the only difference is we can look at it from an outside perspective to be able to go, oh, let me apply what I know or the tools I've achieved here within myself, or reach out to people, that we've met along our journey, and kind of reach out. Right. So now you said vortex healing. That was something that you kind of were leaning into there.
Hmm.
And then now you also do emotion codes. So how do those go hand in hand with healing?
Yes. So the emotion code releases trapped emotions within the physical body, so things that have occurred in this lifetime. So it could be something that was really big, like loss of a loved one or a major breakup, or it could be something really small, like a frustration at work where you shove it down. Like in our society, we shove everything down
Yes.
and
Oh,
we don't allow our emotions or we're not able to in that specific moment to honor and process it. And if we don't go back and process it, it can cause a lot of issues. So the emotion code is fantastic for the emotions from this lifetime, some inherited as well. And the vortex healing complements that, working on higher dimensions that are also affecting our lives here
yeah.
and now, right? We're
Yes.
very complicated and
We
working
are.
on, yes, we are, and working on that deep conditioning. So it's about removing barriers to that belief that we're all one, that we, can live from a more harmonious place within ourselves and externally as well.
So I know when you're talking about this highlights something in my mind. When people come to me and they're asking about what's going on in their life, tend to see where energy is trapped in the body, and I'll do like a body scan over people sometimes just to see what's happening. And a lot of times they'll have energy stored, of course, in their gut, in their solar plexus. And I find a lot of them store it in their teeth and like in their mouth, and their like sinus cavities, and it goes straight to their teeth. And I wonder if a lot of this emotion, is the grinding, is the biting down, is the, and it builds in that area. So when you're releasing emotion code, right? Do you ever get any feedback? Like, do they feel anything in their body where it might be released?
Oh, I feel a lot of things. I've had people before that have felt a wind blow by and there's no windows or anything open. I've had people, lots of chills in their body. Really, they'll feel it on a certain side. Sometimes when we release things from the inherited uh, generations, and if I can muscle test to see is it on the mom's side or the father's side. And sometimes they'll feel, for example, the father side, the more masculine on the right side of the body, or they'll feel tension release in their lower back or emotions like unsupported. And it really does also improve the quality of sleep. And I think what you're saying very much resonates of the clenching of the jaw and the tension that we hold and just letting that go.
That's interesting. Yeah. So, okay. So the combination of our emotion code, releasing those anxieties, the stresses that we stuff down in the everyday life that we've carried. And then, of course, that more etheric, wavy energy with the vortex combined. That's pretty fun. So now here's how I'm wondering, do you have a way where you sense and combine all three, or is that, just curious?
Yeah. So I typically like to work with a client on a plan. Well, I say a plan, but it's really reading their subconscious and energetic body in that moment of because it changes all the time. But I do like to start with some vortex energy to energize and optimize the system, which I've noticed allows that person to release more trapped emotions than we would normally. And then at the end of the session, as a gift, kind of the integration energies, divine mother consciousness, unconditional love. So really using those energies to ground and support the whole process. And sometimes I lean more into the vortex healing, and sometimes it's more about the emotion code. It just really depends on what's going to be best for them, and the way I determine that is often through the muscle testing, asking their subconscious, okay, what are we what are we working on today, what's needed.
So the muscle testing, tell me how that works. So you're sitting here in your space and you're connecting with their subconscious, and then on your body you're getting resistance in certain things. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I use something called the finger method, where I have my two ring fingers and I essentially ask yes no questions, and I'm able to tell the subtle changes in my body. Your body strengthens with a yes and it weakens with a no. And so it took a while to learn that, but
Yeah.
now it's super second nature, and it's a great way to get out of the mental body, which lived most of my life there, and it's now
Yeah.
about feeling into the body.
Okay. Okay. So you're like a human pendulum. I like this. That's great.
Definitely.
That's a great tool you'll always have with you. It's a wonderful
It's
thing.
great for decision making when.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet it is. Oh my goodness. So now we're working out this plan and trying to get someone, ready for their process, and asking their higher self or their subconscious what direction we need to go in. Um, how long does that process usually, how long are you working with someone typically?
Typically, I like to work with someone for at least 3 months. So in a more intensive capacity. And then from there, we can figure out, if it needs to lighten a bit. But ideally, it's like an energetic coach. And there's always laundry to do. Like it's almost like an energetic shower. We always have to daily take our showers. And so it's also equipping clients with tools that they can use in between sessions so that they have their own sovereignty, that they can learn to, yeah, basically maintain their energy system throughout their life too. So I like to combine, of course, I'm here to assist and I'm here to help and with that direction, but ultimately we always want to guide the person towards their own sovereignty as you do very well.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a nice process. You know, you've got a timeline with them. You can show them where they've gone through this process with you, this healing, and be able to look back and see on a human timeline, because we're really all about that, aren't we? and this is a permanent process too, right? This healing, because you're working with those things that you're pulling out, and so you're not going back and rehashing these out, you know, a year later.
Right.
Okay.
You might experience, if we release grief, it's not like you won't ever experience grief again, but you'll experience it in a new way because you'll have more space and more choice and an opening of perspective, and it just makes the human journey a bit easier.
So, because we're human here, can you give me an analogy of how the emotion code, or how the vortex healing, how that actually works? Because I want to get a visual here. So help me out with that.
Definitely. I like to compare it to gardening. So we have our garden and there are weeds growing, which are conditioning, which is, ancestral baggage, our own baggage, galactic baggage. And so we can pull the weeds out. And what that does is it gets to the root of the issue. And it also allows our flowers in our garden to bloom. So by getting that out of the way, more of our truth, more of our gifts are able to shine through. Another analogy would be a light bulb that's been really, really dusty, and it's like clearing it clean so that that bright, vibrant light can come through. Because we all have this light inside of us that just is a little covered up. So it's assisting with more of that to be able to shine through.
Yeah, I can totally resonate with that. I mean, it's been caked on where we're trying to protect ourselves. Our ego is trying to protect us, and we've told ourselves these things over and over again, or someone else told us something that we held on to, and so you're working through that cleaning. Sometimes it's been a while, so I can totally visualize that. Now, because you've gone through some very interesting, like polarizing changes in your life, where you went from this very, I would say, financially driven job to something that is more emotionally connected, more spiritually connected. If someone is struggling with their purpose, because I think this is what happens, people come in and they're like, okay, I'm doing my job, but is this my purpose? Like, what advice can you give somebody who's struggling with finding their purpose?
So I would say with finding one's purpose, it's about deconstructing it. We put so much magnitude into, oh, once I find that job or that career, that's my purpose. And we hold on to it, and the ego grabs and controls that. And we're so much more multidimensional than that. We have the ability to grow and evolve. And spoiler alert, our purpose is to make ourselves happy so that we can serve others and help others in whatever way that looks. That could be serving burgers somewhere. That could be, doing the energy healing. There's such a big spectrum, but if it makes you happy and it lights up your being, you're going to be more full to be able to help others. And so we're not given the answer on purpose. We're given breadcrumbs, as you know. And
Yes.
so it's our job to follow those, and we follow those by our curiosity, by our interest, and by doing little tiny steps each and every day that will lead to those bigger dreams and outcomes. There's not really a way you can go in between. You have to go through the process, and sometimes it's faster for others, sometimes it's slower, and it's all divine timing for the lessons we need along the way. And so kind of, I would say, releasing the need to have that defined purpose and allowing yourself more flexibility to just be excited and follow that. That
Have
would
fun.
be, yeah, more fun.
Yeah, so taking those little pieces and just walking with those. And that's, yeah, I remember early on in my journey, someone told me, and I imagine it this way. This is just my visual of it. I imagine this beautiful chalice with all these little gems around it, and
Mm.
it's. I looked down and it was empty, and it was like, oh,
Oh.
there's nothing to give from, and this is me. And if I'm not fulfilling me, and I'm not happy with me, then I can't give anyone any extra, right? If we're just working from an empty chalice. And so taking that and whatever lights you up, right? That's exactly it.
Mhm.
And then fill that up and keep going and just keep going. So
I love the chalice analogy. It's beautiful.
it's one of those little mind things where it's stuck in my brain because I'm very visual, and you can tell me all the words, but keep a picture. I got this. Oh my goodness. Well, I love your advice, and I hope that our listeners can kind of see where they fall into that themselves. And then of course, if you need help, reach out of the mud
Mhm.
and put your hand out there. And people like Brooke who are there to help grab on and pull you out of the mud so that you can have a guide, to find yourself. And I think it's okay to ask for help. Like, it's okay. And I think that we
Yes.
all have that weird stigma too, because we don't want to be disappointed when we ask, that someone
Mhm.
says no. And if they say no, then they weren't aligned with you. Just go to the next person, that's there. And I can guarantee you that Brooke has some tools and some skills, right? So speaking of that, so there's a little birdie that told me that, little birdie named Brooke told me that she has a beautiful meditation for you as a gift. So can you tell us a little bit about that meditation?
Yes, I would love to give your listeners just a little gift, an energetically encoded meditation. It helps to drop you into your sacred garden internally and to access your inner wisdom and guidance. And so it's a wonderful way to spend some time and connect with your soul.
Okay. Well, that you can get that by emailing Brooke at energyupgradewithbrooke@gmail.com. And so just let her know that you want that free meditation and she'll send it off to you. So thank you for that.
Of
Now,
course.
any parting words, Brooke? Anything you want to say?
Just that it's easy to see, as I mentioned earlier, someone on the other end, and just that we've all been there. It can be a messy process, and as you said, Mary B, about being pulled out of the mud. We're really in a relay race, and there's always someone passing the baton and someone you're handing the baton to,
Yeah.
and just following that curiosity and believing that you're worthy of living a life that you enjoy, I think is the big takeaway.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'll hold on to that one. That's a good nugget. Well, Brooke, how can our listeners find you if they are looking for a guide? How can they find you?
They can find me on my website, so www.energyupgradewithbrooke.com, as well as the email you mentioned earlier. I am also on YouTube and Instagram with Energy Upgrade with Brooke as the handle. So lots of different places to reach out. Email is maybe one of the easiest.
Okay, good. And I will put those in the show notes too for those that need them. So, well, thank you for sharing your story with us today, Brooke, and your expertise. And it was nice to chat with you.
Thank you. So wonderful to be with you, Mary B.